McGrath cleared the crossbar by maybe 3 feet, but in a game of inches, that can't be beat. They stormed the field just to be a part of a massive celebration that includes cigars. Time ran out. The clock stopped ticking. It all came down to 2 kids kicking. The streak is over, buried and dead. The Vols won despite Peyton's big head. This one will live on like the Gators in '98. Bring down the big dogs feels really great. Play on, Dixieland Delight. Play on, Rocky Top, deep into the night. The final horn sounds, the Vols deliver, the goalpost into the Tennessee River. One of the top 5 Tennessee football moments of my lifetime. Last year, Tennessee beating Alabama 52-49. Yes, 2 kids kicking. Welcome in to Season 2, Episode 10 of Gold Ball Sports, along with Ken Keller and Dave Myers. I'm Scott Shasteen. We are live from the DKI Apex Restoration Studios, and we got an hour full of sports talk right in front of you. All kinds of subjects laid out, and we're just ready for them. But Ken, most of all, we're ready for the 3rd Saturday in October.
It is. It's the time we bring the Tennessee and Alabama helmets in, and you talking about, that was one of the, top wins in Tennessee history. That was one of the most excruciating losses for an Alabama fan in this series. I was in the stadium, Scott, in 2003 in Bryant-Denny when the Iceman led a comeback, 5 overtimes. Alabama led the whole game. It went in. Tennessee beat Alabama in 5 overtimes, 51-43. That was a gut punch. Last year, 52-49 was a gut punch. Hendon Hooker over Bryce Young and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Nick Saban looking for revenge.
Well, after 15 years of pounding the Vols' heads, it literally was time for a gut punch, and it
was
came.
A gut
Look,
punch.
it was.
It did.
It was so exciting.
Crazy.
Even after the loss, my partner here. I mean, it was just an exciting time. It was a fun game to watch. It was neat to watch what Vol fans did. But you know what, partner? That means nothing. It means nothing come Saturday, does it?
No, in this series, the winning team gets bragging rights for 364 days. That's basically what it is. It carries over to the next year, and the team that loses is already looking for retribution, the very next season. So a lot at stake in this game for both teams. We'll talk about this on the college football segment, and we'll break this game down in the Golden Game segment late at the end of the show.
Absolutely. So you know the drill. We've got podiums in front of us. We've got participation trophies in front of us. We've got college football, pro football. We've got it all. There we go in front of us. But we're going to get started with high school football, and we're going to take. Where's my wand? You got my wand?
Yeah, we'll get you the magic wand.
This beautiful television.
Yes.
That's fixing to show high school sports.
There you go.
And so
We'll get that rolling. By the way, I do want to remind you about the Johnny Bench event on October 28th. Tickets are still available. I'm excited about that whiskey trail meal, man. You can't hardly beat that whiskey trail now. Contact somebody who's a member of the Tullahoma Wildcat baseball or softball team. Contact Jim Bratcher. Contact Lane Curley. Contact somebody who is a member of the Tullahoma Sports Council, and they will hook you up with tickets to see Johnny Bench. My partner is excited, and I am as well. All right, last week, week 9 in Tennessee high school football. It was a light slate because a lot of teams had open dates. You see, Oakland took care of their business. I told you Beach was like a 3-3 5A team, and look at what they did to Siegel. Watch Beach in the playoffs. You can never overlook Beach. Riverdale took care of Blackman there. Shelbyville, Lawrence County. Ken, your quick comment on the closeness of that score. 21-12 Shelbyville.
Oh, very surprised. You know, the margin of victory for Tullahoma much larger than that over Lawrence County. So that's perhaps a good sign for the Wildcats of
We've
Tullahoma.
seen what Lawrence County has, and it isn't much.
No.
Cookeville rolled over Lincoln County, no problem. Look at poor community. I always just point out to people who are just getting drubbed the whole year. Fayetteville's kind of coming back. They're starting to stack a couple of wins. Moore County, the Majors Bowl, about what I expected. Had an opportunity to go down there, didn't go down there. Sort of glad I didn't. It wasn't much of a ball game. Dawson White and the Moore County Blue Raiders continue to roll. So again, a light slate of games for week 9. But let's take a look at that poll anyway, because very little change here, as you are going to see a lot of open dates. So very little change. Open dates also coming up this weekend. But we've got Collinwood sitting down here in Region 5, 1A. They're probably going to finish second to Moore County in that region and host a first-round playoff game. Columbia at 5-3. Columbia's almost a lock to finish third in Region 5, 5A. They've already played Tullahoma and Shelbyville. I like Columbia to win out. Riverdale, that big win over Blackman. Riverdale's got their hands full this weekend. Giles County rolling. They're going to win that region. Tullahoma, Marshall County, Shelbyville, Oakland, Marion County, Moore County, no change there. Everybody stays the same. Everybody either won or had an open date. Started to move Marshall County up above Shelbyville, but Shelbyville won, Marshall County was open, so that stays the same. Remember, a bunch of these teams are headed for Week 11 showdowns to decide region championships, it looks like, including Shelbyville and Tullahoma. So not a lot of change in the poll for Week 9 in the high school football poll. Now, Region 5, 5A standings, because of the open dates, did not change a lot. Shelbyville and Tullahoma still on track to win out. You got Columbia now at 3-2. They've got the edge over everybody except Lincoln County, and they've still got to play. So Lincoln County still in position to get that third place. I don't think they can beat Columbia. Don't think Lincoln County can beat Columbia. And also, Franklin County is technically still in position to challenge for a playoff spot if Tullahoma loses them both. The Rebels get to move up over Tullahoma. But in all likelihood, I really like Franklin County's chances to jump right here and finish fourth. I like Franklin County's chances. We're not going to go through all the games remaining and what can happen, but this is about set. Now again, Tullahoma beats Spring Hill and Shelbyville beats whoever they play this weekend. We're fixing to see. Then this will be for the Region 5, 5A title. Week 11 in Shelbyville will probably be up on the roof. All right, Dave, Diamond Dave, let's take a look at what we got this week. You see, most of the open dates are past us now. We're in Week 10 of Tennessee high school football. Can you believe that?
Hard to believe. No.
Week 10, one more week of the regular season after Friday night. By the way, Friday night, Ken Keller and I will be in Spring Hill for the Tullahoma Spring Hill game, kicking off at 7 o'clock.
Got a graphic on that next.
Okay. I will shut up. Oakland at Ravenwood. This is huge, okay? This could be a preview of a state championship game right here. Oakland on the east side of the state, Ravenwood on the west side of the state. They're both in the top 5 of Class 6A. This is just a huge game right here. Riverdale, Blackman and Rockvale really competing for that 3rd and 4th place spot in Region 3 6A. I think Riverdale's got second lined up. So that's a big game in that region. Of course, Tullahoma and Spring Hill, we'll pick that later. By the way, we'll pick Oakland and Ravenwood. Lincoln County at Shelbyville. So there's your Week 10 game. Of course, I like Shelbyville's chances. Getting their final 2 games at home. How sweet is that for the Golden Eagles? We'll get that next year. Shelbyville over Lincoln County. I like that, you see. So that would drop Lincoln County. Here's a big one. We're going to pick this one. Franklin County at Lawrence County. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Franklin County wins. They jump Lawrence County. And then Columbia's out of the region this week. They're in good shape against James Lawson. By the way, that's a brand new school. That used to be Hillwood. Remember when we were at Hillwood a couple years ago and they were talking about this new school?
Yeah.
That's James Lawson.
James.
There is no more Hillwood. No more Hillwood. Marshall County, no problem. Anything here? We got a mountain battle. Those are always fun. Grundy County at Sequatchie County. Marion County at Cannon County. Moore County goes to Forest. Forest can often be a bug in Moore County's genes. So Moore County, it's got a little bit of trap written on it, but Moore County doesn't have a lot to lose there. Huntland's, yeah, that's Huntland. So here's your Week 10 games. Get a good glimpse of it there. Here's Region 5, 5A down in here. I usually start with a 6A. If you've ever noticed, I start in 6A and go down to 1A. All right, that's
Excellent.
a look at the, what'd you say you had next?
Look at that graphic. Y'all.
Oh, look at that graphic. Tullahoma Spring Hill.
Oh, beautiful.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Tullahoma and Spring Hill, Ken. Wildcats coming off an open date. Either one of 2 things happens to teams that come off open dates. They're either fresh and look really sharp, or they look a little out of sync, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one factor. Fall break. I don't know if Spring Hill's been on fall break for 2 weeks, but Tullahoma has. It's on the road. Spring Hill has a losing record and is not considered a challenger by anybody I've talked to. And Shelbyville looms ahead. So that's 5 things that make Tullahoma at Spring Hill a trap game. I'm not saying it is. And we will pick our winners at the end of the show. What I'm saying is there are your 5 factors
Game.
trap
Yeah.
game. It's got all the characteristics of it.
Yep.
So from this little corner in this beautiful studio, which we've additionally added on to this week, I just say, Wildcats, be ready. Take care of your business. My Vancy, it's your show. Tullahoma, run the ball down their throats. Throw when you have to. And let's get out of there and get ready for Shelbyville. What do you think?
That sounds like a perfect plan.
All right.
Let's do
Let's
it.
go to the podium. We will start with Ken Keller.
All right, it's podium time here at Go Ball Sports, and we always start out with the bronze. We give out 3 trophies. So mine is going to Philadelphia Philly Nick Castellanos. Okay, did I pronounce that right? I hope I did, but I got a short video. So all he did in the NLDS against Atlanta Braves is break a major league record. He now is the only person in the history of Major League Baseball to hit 2 home runs in 2 straight games. We've got a video of one of those towering shots right now.
Castellanos, high fly ball, way back, goodbye.
Nick Castellanos, my bronze winner here at Go Ball Sports. I mean, baby blue uniforms right there, the classic Phillies throwbacks, and then the little kid wearing the jersey and turning around for the camera. I thought that was pretty cool. Bronze winner tonight here for me.
That was a great moment. Unless you're a Braves fan.
Yeah.
And then it was sort of like the screen right there. It was just sort of, oh, meh, meh. All right, my bronze medal goes to former Tullahoma Wildcat head football coach John Olive. Coach Olive, named to the Tennessee High School Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Just another great, monumental award for John Olive after his tremendous 29 years as head coach of the Tullahoma Wildcats. He's been named to quite a few things now, including the Tullahoma Sports Council Hall of Fame. But this is a big one, I know, for Coach. He helped start the Tennessee High School Football Coaches Association. He was a ground member of that. He was a board of directors member of that. So, bronze medal, John Olive, stack up another one, put it on the mantle. Congratulations.
Well, super worthy recipient right there, Scotty, your bronze. Class act, great man. So we're up to the silver here on the podium. My silver award winner is the Stanford Football Cardinal. Yes, one of the few nicknames in college football that don't have an S on the end of the nickname. It's the Stanford Cardinal with no S. All they did was come back from a 29-0 halftime deficit against Deion Sanders and his Colorado Buffaloes and win it in double overtime, 46-43. Congratulations, silver winner tonight, award winner. On the podium at Go Ball Sports is the Stanford Cardinal. And the thing about that game was Stanford had Prime so tore up after the game that he was questioning whether his players really loved the game of football or they simply just liked it. Great job, Cardinal. Prime loses again. Although I like Prime, he wasn't prime time last Friday night.
You know, it's amazing as we do this show week by week how things change. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't stay up for Stanford's win over Colorado, but I acted like I did Sunday morning because I loved it that much. It's just too much overhype it was. And Deion helped that all he could. But sooner or later, you got to do it on the field. And it's early for that program. All right, my silver medal goes to Tennessee volunteer punt returner D. Williams. D. Williams. You watched the game or you've seen the video. D. Williams returns a punt 40 yards or so. Big touchdown for Tennessee. Made a huge difference in their game against Texas A&M. Tennessee showed they could win a knockdown, drag out, head smashing game. That's something the Vols hadn't done in about 15 years. And so it's a big deal. D. Williams spearheaded that. Congratulations, D.
Actually, I have a video of that.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Game of inches. And the reason why I say you need to remember D. Williams' name, because he's going to come up here in a second. A&M will go 3 and out. They're punting deep in their own territory.
This was a defining moment, Hakeem, right here.
Game changer.
Backed up. Nice vision. Big
Touchdown.
time play. Hakeem, coach once told me you got to be special to play special teams.
That is pretty special.
D. VFL. Congratulations on your silver medal tonight.
Yeah, nice pick. Now we're moving up the podium to the top award, the Gold Award. And Gold Award on Go Ball Sports is all about breaking records. Nick Saban, 200th win at the University of Alabama. He's only 23 wins behind Bear Bryant. Since 2007, he's turned the program around for Alabama Crimson Tide. 6 national championships, 200 wins now. He's chasing Bear Bryant. How long is it going to take him to get 23 more wins? Can he do it? Can he break Bear's record at Alabama? We'll see. But what a class act. What a great football coach. Nick Saban, my Gold Ball Sports Gold Podium winner tonight.
And let's hope he doesn't get the 200 wins Saturday. But mad respect for Uncle Nick. My gold medal on the podium tonight goes to the New York Jets. J-E-T-S, Jets. What'd they do? They beat the previously undefeated Philadelphia Eagles with a pretend quarterback, but with an awesome defense. And I mean, Jalen Hurd, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, he just couldn't get it going against the Jets. You know, I've been wrong about some teams this year, but the Jets are 3-3. Before the season started, with Aaron Rodgers, the Jets publicly said if they could 3-3 the first 6 games, tough schedule with Aaron Rodgers. They're 3-3 without him. So keep an eye on the Jets. Great win over Philadelphia. So fun to watch for a lifetime Jets fan. Jets gets the gold medal on the podium tonight.
Hey, and that was a great win. I just got a follow-up comment to that because you said nobody was going to go unbeaten. 49ers and Eagles both go down. Dave will have his NFL segment at the end of the show. But really, when you look at it, hey, what a win for the Jets. And who would have thought it? But I'm going to tell you who's happy about it. Larry Zonka and the 1972 Miami Dolphins, those guys all over the internet popping the champagne cork, celebrating again, the only undefeated team in NFL history. Scott, I don't think anybody's ever going to go undefeated ever again. That 72 Dolphins team stands all alone.
It doesn't look like it. Look, I'm not a bettor yet, but in the NFL, when you get to week 5, 6, and 7, and you've got undefeated teams, take the underdog because they're going to lose. I don't think anybody will go 12-0, much less 17-0.
Yeah.
Don't think it's going to happen. So that's our podium. That's our podium winners. Let's talk college football.
Oh, what a weekend. What a weekend. It's getting hot in here, Scott. I got to pop the top on.
Woo!
Like Larry Zonka popped the cork on that champagne. I'm popping the top on this SEC Dr. Pepper can.
Dr. Pepper.
Let's put this sweatband on and let's go. Let's go after it because we're going to sweat on this one.
We still love you, Paige.
All right. Yes, sir. All right, let's take a look at the SEC results last week. That's where I want to start. The SEC results this past weekend. The Georgia Bulldogs beat the Vanderbilt Commodores 38-21. That game, a little testy early on. Vanderbilt, though, put a big hit on the stud tight end for the Georgia Bulldogs. What's his name?
Bowers.
Brock Bowers, the best tight end in the universe, okay? Sorry, Kansas City Chiefs. It's not happening with you. But he had the tightrope surgery, did Bowers, the best player on that football team, out there saying 4 to 6 weeks. That game against Tennessee on November 18th may be in jeopardy for Brock Bowers. Alabama and Arkansas. And we saw Alabama good in the first half. We saw Alabama bad in the second half. Our own Dave Myers on assignment in Tuscaloosa was at that game. I'm going to circle back around in a minute and ask him some questions regarding this 24-21 win Alabama put over the Razorbacks. Arkansas nearly came back in the second half. The big CBS 2:30 game on Saturday, and what a football game it was. The big game, the big play in the game. Tennessee does it with special teams. Tennessee does it with the run game. They go for 4.7 yards per rush against A&M. Alabama rushed for only 23 yards total the week before. Is that going to make a difference this weekend when Alabama-Tennessee plays? Maybe. We're going to look at that later.
Right.
But the big play by D. Williams in special teams, you saw the punt. But why was A&M backed up, Scott? Guess who downed the ball on the half-yard line before he returned the punt for a touchdown? That said man, D. Williams, who was a Podium Award winner tonight by Scott. 3-yard line, pinned him deep, and they had to punt out of the end zone. Upset. We're going to talk about this one here in a little bit. somebody made our participation award after this football game. But the Florida Gators upset South Carolina. What a game, high-scoring football game. The Gators and Graham Mertz put up 41 points at South Carolina. The Rooster crowed on the Gamecocks. They get beat and upset by the Florida Gators. And Scott, I know my partner over here, my football buddy, loved this one right here because he always gets an opportunity to take a jab in on the Big Blue. The Big Blue. We bring this in for them. The Big Blue. Mike Stoops in Kentucky chokes at home. They get boat raced by the Missouri Tigers. Eli Drinkowitz and the Tigers run them out on the bluegrass of the state of Kentucky, 38-21. Big win for Missouri. They bounce back. We both in our segment last week picked Missouri to beat Kentucky, even though they were underdogs. We both picked them.
Because we know what? They are who we think they
Yeah,
are.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right, my friend. And a big blowout right here. The LSU Tigers just steamrolled the Auburn Tigers. This game's at Baton Rouge, 48-18. Hugh Freeze out of answers in the third quarter. He looked pitiful on the sidelines, saying, guys, what do we do? He had 18 four-star transfers come in, still 30 points beneath the LSU Fighting Tigers. But I want to come back to this game, and I want to ask Dave Myers. Dave, put the camera on yourself because you're going to be under the spotlight here. I got to ask you a couple questions, okay, on this game. You was there. So Big Dave Myers was there in Tuscaloosa. Alabama pulled it out 24-21 in a game that they had to have. Dave, first half, Jalen Milroe, 7 for 10, 200-plus yards. Alabama leads 21-6. What kind of imposter came out of the locker room in the second half? Who was it? Was it Jalen Milroe or somebody else?
You know, that was a tough game to sit through next to Alabama fans
Any game is.
because we weren't ourselves complete Alabama fans. But we just went to watch the game, and man, you could tell Milroe in the first half, he was on par for a career game. I think he had close to 250 yards. And I can't remember the receiver's name. Starts with a P.
Kobe Prentice.
Prentice. That's it. Yeah. And he was on par for a career game himself. But it looked like second half there was we're beating them. We're beating them just fine. Let's just kind of go with it kind of attitude. And up in the stands, boy, it got hairy. We kind of looked at each other once Arkansas made a few plays like this is a good game. A few of the guys with us actually didn't go to the Vanderbilt Georgia game because that was a rough one. So we were hoping it was a good game. I don't know what happened. Hopefully they're not going to play like that all season. So
Just next week.
yeah.
Yeah, I
hear you.
mean, have you ever seen a game change in person where a momentum swing so drastic and really the air deflated from the stadium? I mean, you can see how quiet was it in the second half.
It was very quiet.
Yeah.
There was hope. Alabama does a great thing at home, which Tennessee does as well. They fire their players and their fans up with a few things like playing Dixieland Delight, and it was I seemed to pick up their spirits because before the 3rd minute mark in the 4th quarter, it's a little hairy. So
Yeah.
it was a
doubt.
good game though.
We appreciate that report, man.
Yes, sir.
Glad that you was there for Golds Ball Sports. Okay, so let's take a look now at the top 25 and get a national landscape look here in the AP top 25 poll here that we're going to take a look at. Here it is. All right, so we're going to start out with number 1 this week. As we said, Brock Bowers out 4 to 6 weeks. This is your AP top 5. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, and the Washington Huskies, a new entrant here. They bump Oklahoma back a spot. That's not my top 5. My top 5 and the most accurate top 5 is this. Number 1 is the Florida State Seminoles. They played the hardest schedule. They beat Syracuse 41-3. My number 2 team is Georgia. Their signature win this year over the Kentucky Wildcats, who are no longer in the top 25. They boat raced Kentucky 51-13. They lose on their home turf to Missouri. Come on, man. Who's Georgia beat? They're number 2.
Nobody. So why are they number 2?
They're not number 1. They're not number 1. Florida State is my number 3 team. Ohio State stays here. They had no trouble. They slaughtered the Purdue Boilermakers. Number 4 is going to be the Washington Huskies for me. And then I've got Ohio State 5. No, Michigan is not even in the top 5. They're unbeaten. They get too much love, does the Michigan Wolverines. They played a worse schedule than the Georgia Bulldogs have. So I've got one, two, three. Let's see. Who was it? There's three. 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's my top 5. I've got Michigan out. Big game this week is number 3 Ohio State against Penn State at number 7. So Penn State drops back a spot from 6 to 7. They get bumped by Washington as they jump both of these teams. We're going to call that on our Golden Game segment at the end of the show. Now, I want you to notice something here, folks. Washington moved up because it was the biggest game of the weekend. They beat the Oregon Ducks in Seattle by a final score of 36 to 33. What a football game that was. Oregon played a great football game, went for too many fourth downs, don't you think, Scott, in that game? The key play.
I think I picked Washington. They won.
There you go. Good pick. Very good pick. So Oregon at the 2-minute, 16-second mark of the fourth quarter had a 4th and 3 on the Washington 45-yard line. They go for it instead of punting. Roll out left, Bo Nix, incomplete pass, and then Washington quickly scores a touchdown. They win it 36 to 33. But look, one loss Oregon stays here in the top 10. They're still in it, absolutely. The other big game of the year with a loss was this one, Red River, just a couple weeks ago. Texas, right back at number 8 with a loss. Boom, boom, with a loss. So these teams still in it and could rematch later on in the season in conference championships. You could see Oklahoma and Texas and Oregon and Washington in rematches. Keep an eye out for that. Look who moves in the top 10, a new entrant. That's been a jinx position in the last few weeks. The teams that have been going to 10 have been losing lately. But Drake May, Mac Brown, the Tar Heels make their entrance into the top 10. Alabama stays the same. Ole Miss goes to Auburn this week. We'll look at the SEC slate in a minute. Alabama has the big matchup, 11 versus 17. This is not just a golden game, folks. This is the Super Bowl. That's what we call it down here in the South. The third Saturday in October is special. Special game. Lions, point spread, we're going to talk about it later. 8.5 points, way too high. This is a toss-up game. Take your coins out, flip them up in the air, folks. I'm telling you, this is a toss-up game. Notre Dame, very impressive. That's a 2-loss team I would not want to play in a bowl game if I was one of these top 10 teams. They beat down the USC Trojans bad. 48-20 is your final score. They intercept Caleb Williams 3 times and knock him out of the Heisman Trophy. Bye-bye, Caleb Williams. I love seeing the Trojans get beat. Congratulations. Notre Dame had turned the ball over just the week before 5 times in their loss against Louisville. They take care of business here. Duke still sitting at 16. Tennessee moves up 3 spots with that 7-point win over the Texas A&M Aggies. LSU sitting here at 19. And Missouri holds on with that win at Kentucky. So Louisville, after they beat Notre Dame, they come back and they get boat raced by the Pitt Panthers. So they're still in the top 25. This Air Force team, Pigskins Losers going to profile them. They play Navy this week. They're 6-0 on the season. They could be a 12-0 team by the time. The toughest team they play is Boise. If they get by Boise, Air Force is going to be 12-0, folks. And then you got Tulane, Iowa Hawkeyes, and the UCLA Bruins. So that's your top 25. Some very big games. The biggest national game this week, of course, is the Ohio State. You're good. Is the Ohio State game against Penn State. So we have the SEC slate now. Beautiful picture here with the game times and the network channels here. We've got Mississippi State light slate. Lots of bye weeks this week. Arkansas's at Mississippi State.
Reverse.
Okay. Oh, wait, gotcha. Mississippi State at Arkansas. Love it. Okay. Tennessee at Alabama. That's a big one. We're going to talk about that one right now. Okay. We got to spend a few minutes to talk about this. You know, we could spend 20 minutes. We're going to spend 3 minutes. I'm going to tell you about a couple matchups in this game, folks. Tennessee and Alabama. The point spread's 8.5. But when I look at these teams, I see lots of similarities. Scott mentioned about the special teams taking over for Tennessee. Tennessee played a Phil Fulmer type game against Texas A&M on Saturday. Run the ball, defense, and special teams. And that's how they won, because it sure wasn't because of their offense, folks. So when we look at this game between Tennessee and Alabama, you got 2 quarterbacks with the JM initials. Jalen Milroe, Joe Milton. Both teams' defense want to pressure the quarterback and force each quarterback into mistakes there. You look at the running game. You got Jalen Wright for Tennessee. You got Jace McClellan for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Both teams have 3 really good running backs. Which team can run the football better? I'll tell you who ran it better against A&M, and they played each other the last 2 weeks. Tennessee ran for 4.7. Alabama 23 total yards. The offensive line could not pass block. Tennessee whipped A&M on the line of scrimmage. They play physical football. Alabama better be ready this week. If you look at defensive pressure, James, what's his name,
Pierce.
James Pierce Jr., phenomenal edge rusher for the Tennessee Vols, and you got Dallas Turner for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and we've already talked about special teams. You talk about special teams, you got D. Williams for Tennessee returning punts, and you got Kool-Aid McKinstry for Alabama. McKinstry, either one of them could change the game on one punt return. So lots of good matchups here in this. This is a big one, though. Neither team has the quarterback they had last year. Both teams have quarterbacks capable of throwing 3 to 4 interceptions, okay? And we're going to pick this in the Golden Game segment, but I'm looking forward, Scott, to this matchup right here. Lots of evenly balanced positions between these teams. Watch the press conferences this week of Josh Heupel and Nick Saban. They sound like carbon copies of each other, talking about putting pressure containment, keeping the quarterbacks in the pocket, not allowing them to scramble. Stopping the run first, establishing the run, just playing physical every play for 60 minutes and not looking at the scoreboard. You can watch both the press conferences. They sound like you can flip them, and it's like they got the same script they wrote down. So, looking forward to that one.
That's how Ken Keller does when he says we're going to talk about it. Did you notice that I haven't said a word?
Okay.
But he's through, and he's going back to the board.
No, we're going, man. Go ahead, big dog.
Philip Fulmer football, Ken. It's General Neyland football. It's the 7 maxim. It's about special teams. It is about defense. It is about keeping the pressure on. I can't tell you how many times Saturday I thought we're beat. We can't play this kind of game. We're not getting the long shot plays, and that's what Josh Heupel does. But Josh Heupel's teams also run the ball. And Tennessee has gone in 1 year from the most explosive offense in college football to one of the best running games in college football. That usually doesn't happen in a year. But that tells me that Josh Heupel knows what the hell he's doing. He looks at his people and says, what are we going to have to do this year to win as much as we can? They don't have great receivers, and losing Brew McCoy, big loss for Tennessee. So that's General Neyland football. It's amazing how these teams do mirror each other, though. Alabama's not looked like they looked against Arkansas, to me, in a dozen years, since Nick's early time. And Tennessee has not beat somebody like they beat Texas A&M, in a dozen to 15 years. They just haven't. They do not win those low-scoring physical clashes, but they did against Texas A&M, highly regarded defense. So we're going to pick it later, but man, I'm excited about this game.
Yeah, I mean, those are great points right there. And you're right. It goes all the way back to Neyland, and you're exactly right. You're the Tennessee historian. So we got South Carolina at Missouri. Missouri hot right now. I got to think this is not a Golden Game pick, so you got to like Missouri here again, right?
Yeah, you do.
They're sneaky good right now.
Are they going to finish 10-1?
I don't know, man.
You don't think so, right?
Yeah.
They got a South Carolina on the road dog.
Okay, Beamer ball. He's going with Beamer ball. Ole Miss at Auburn. This is going to, I think this is going to be an intriguing game. The reason Hugh Freeze of Auburn's new head coach going against his old team, Ole Miss, they're going to be ready for this. He's not going to get embarrassed in this football game. Lane Kiffin better watch out. They could be on upset alert in this game. And I thought this was an intriguing non-conference matchup.
Let it be known that Ken loves to lift up Auburn. Always talking about how, this week they're going to do this and that. They suck. They're terrible.
Oh, man. We got a lot of Auburn fans. They're not going to like you for saying that. Now, look.
We're playing to the fans.
Now, let's be real.
I love me some Auburn.
Hey, let's be real. Now, the team that Auburn played closer than anybody was the Georgia Bulldogs, who's number 1. So, I mean, they only lost 27-20 and led in a large part of that football game, Scott.
Did you see them last week?
Yeah, they were awful. Okay, yeah. Maybe they're better at home. Maybe they're at home. So, hey.
You picking
home
Auburn?
sweet home.
You picking Auburn?
We'll see what Pigskin Loser says. He might.
Okay.
We'll just see. And then I thought that when I saw this matchup, it kind of freaked me out a little bit. When has anybody from the SEC ever played Army in a non-conference game? I thought that's pretty neat. So a good little matchup here.
And at home.
Yeah, at home. So Army at LSU. You know, Army had Oklahoma beat a couple years ago when Oklahoma was a top 5 team. So, you know, a little tricky team
Well, you
right
know,
there.
Army in 1941 went undefeated and had a Heisman Trophy win.
Well, look at this guy.
Actually, 2 years in a row,
nice.
1940 and 1940.
Hey, all right, man, dude, you go way back, dude. Okay, you pulling some tricks out on me tonight, man. I got, hey,
Yeah,
you did,
I remember.
man. That's good,
I remember that 41 team because I was a senior in college.
There you go. There you go.
Thanks,
well,
Dave.
there's no doubt. Look, the headline of this game is 3rd Saturday of October. This is the game, Alabama, Tennessee. More on that later. Can't wait for that one.
Gary.
Yeah, we get Gary. This is the last time we'll have Gary Danielson
We'll get
for
to
the
scream at
3rd
the
Saturday of
TV
October.
for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Is that the SEC slate for this week? Did we get a picture for that one?
We just did it.
We did just do it. What am I talking about?
I don't know.
Let's see what losers have to say.
Let's do
All right, let's do it.
Army at LSU. The cadets are on a reconnaissance mission to cross dangerous terrain into Bayou country. The task is daunting. Capture and destroy these purple and gold man-eaters on the home turf. Jaden Daniels has the eye of a Heisman Tiger and the wide receivers to bite the cadets in half. Pigskins loser, Army. UCF at Oklahoma. Gus Malzahn and his Knights put on their golden armor and galloped to Norman for a battle with the number 6 Sooners. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel is himself on the Heisman watch list after the huge Red River win a couple weeks back. Is the Sooner letdown imminent? Pigskins loser in a close one, Central Florida. Ole Miss at Auburn. The War Eagles had their claws pulled in last week's Baton Rouge beatdown. Hugh Freeze goes against his former colleagues from Oxford. The ball bounces funny in Voodoo Hair Stadium, and that ain't good for Lane's Land Sharks. Pigskins loser in an upset, Ole Miss. Air Force at Navy. The midshipmen are 11-point underdogs against the high-flying Falcons of Air Force, who are 6-0 in this military matchup. ESPN Analytics got Air Force with a 76% chance to win out every game except for Boise State. Can they go 12-0? Pigskin hope so. Pigskins loser, Navy. Pigskins other losers. The Cougars get quacked by the Ducks. The Cock crows on the Roosters of South Carolina. The Cougars get speared by the Longhorns, and Sparty goes down to the Wolverines. The 3rd Saturday in October is here. I'll be watching them Crimson Elephants and Smokey go at it in Titletown. Catch you next week on Gold Ball Sports. Gold Ball Sports, where participation trophies simply don't cut it.
Well, my participation trophy for season 2, episode 10 goes to your beloved Tennessee Titans. There's nothing like getting up on early on a Sunday morning. Thank you, Channel 5, by the way, for showing that, whatever it was, NFL Plus or whatever game. But do appreciate Channel 5 showing that. But yeah, I mean, the Ravens are pretty good and all that. But look, guys, the Titans are done. They are done. They are toast. They have drafted poorly. They have free agents signed poorly. They're already talking about moving DeAndre Hopkins. It's a dumpster fire in Nashville. Tennessee Titans, episode 10 participation trophy. Congratulations. You earned every bit of it.
Well, they deserve that trophy every other week, don't they, Scott?
They
No
do right
doubt.
now.
Yeah, they sure do. All right. My participation trophy goes to Beamer Ball, baby. Beamer Ball. Shane Beamer, after the upset loss at South Carolina to the Florida Gators, had a little mishap in the locker room afterwards. What happened, Big Dave? You got a video for us? Cue it up. See ya.
Got it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's enough for like 4 stories probably right there.
Shane, a couple of things. Did I see a limp in here? Do we need an injury update on you?
Yeah, I might as well say it now because y'all are going to ask on Saturday after the game. I broke my foot on Saturday, so I'd rather just get it out there and say it and not have y'all speculating. And then after the game on Saturday in Missouri, you ask. I called Coach Tanner, told him, make sure he was okay with it, and he died laughing when I told him. So obviously there's not a lot of empathy from him. It was after the game, and certainly that was a gut-wrenching emotional loss, and I was frustrated and kicked something that I shouldn't have kicked, and thought I was okay, but adrenaline of the game wore off, and before anybody starts the narrative like the head football coach is frustrated and lost his poise and all that, no, I care. And I care about these kids, and I was really upset on Saturday night because I didn't do enough to help them get over the hump and win the football game. So don't think I have to have surgery, but there is a broken bone in my foot. It hurts like you know what, but, you know, I've got to show toughness and fight through it. Been one of those years.
Shane Beamer, the Potsy Weber of SEC football coaches.
Sit on it, Ralph.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Hey, I tell you what. You know what he just told his players and the youths of America? He just told them that it was okay to react just out of your mind for losing a football game. What was his excuse? Because he cares. You know, if you use that excuse, because I care, where does that stop? Of course he cares. What a moron. Dave, let's talk pro football. Get me out of Beamer country.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the studio. We have a live studio audience behind me now. Wave. Gary's back there. Cool. All right, so we're gonna talk. Some football here. Let's go for it. At number 12 in a new spot are the Cincinnati Bengals. They were on the poll in earlier polls, but although the Bengals pulled out of this game with a victory over a good Seattle team, Joey B still didn't show me much of anything. Blame it on the knee, and you're out of your mind. Mixon had 38 yards rushing, and Chase had 80 yards receiving. Yoinks. It was actually the defense that surprised me this week, as Logan Wilson led the team with 9 solo tackles and a sack, while the team tallied 4 total sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions on Geno. At number 11 are the Seattle Seahawks. They go down a couple spots over the loss at the Bengals. I'm not going to bust Geno on a stellar game played by the Bengals secondary. We all know that the Bengals... what is that noise? Is that the game? Or is that yours? I'm getting... Yeah. Anyways, Geno still threw for 323 yards. Lockett and Metcalf looked strong, and the defense almost pulled out the victory on Sunday. This team still stays ahead of their opponent for many factors. The most glaring is their ability for their stars to turn on their game. Unfortunately, it was a little too late for Seattle. Number 10, going up a couple spots, are the Cleveland Browns and their win over the 49ers. All of Cleveland is probably holding their breath awaiting the return of Deshaun because P.J. Walker and his 2 picks thrown and only 192 yards aren't going to cut it. However, Hunt and Ford picked up their part of the bargain with a combined 133 yards on the ground. Amari Cooper's hands proved to outweigh the awful Walker's arm and somehow ended up with 108 yards receiving. However, it was the Browns defense that won this game, holding Purdy boys to only 215 yards total. Number 9, Baltimore Ravens moving up a spot with their win over the atrocious Titans. Goodness gracious. Can we get the crap out of the way first? The Titans are a dysfunctional team. They're trying to run with 2 left feet, or better yet, they're trying to run a race without feet. On to the Ravens. Lamar had a great game with 223 yards through the air, averaged 7.4 yards per attempt. He also ran for 62 yards on the ground. Ravens defense also grabbed 6 sacks on Tannehill and Willis, and Clowney showed the reason why the Titans don't know who they're sending off their team. A.J. Brown. Number 8, Jacksonville Jaguars. Sunshine went 20 of 30 and threw 2 touchdowns. The defense forced 4 turnovers from the Colts, while Josh Allen turned in another great performance with a bunch of quarterback pressure and a sack on the game. We'll see a test of the Jaguars as they head to New Orleans this week. At number 7 are the Dallas Cowboys. They move up a spot with their win over the Chargers. This game started slow for the Cowboys, but the defense put some life into this team. Eckler only grabbed 27 yards on the ground, while the O-line struggled to keep the Chargers off of Prescott with 5 sacks on the game. But in true fashion, the Cowboys came away with a strong second-half presence victory, and Dak put 40 yards on the ground. Wow. Dak Prescott running the ball. The story, in my opinion, was Dak's connection with star receiver CeeDee Lamb and his involvement of Tony Pollard in the passing game. Finally, the Chargers have a decent run defense, so McCarthy overcame through the air. Oh, yeah, and Micah Parsons, he grabbed another sack. Number 6, staying at the same spot, the Buffalo Bills and their win over the Giants. Wow, what a bad win. But it was a win. And the Bills' O-line kept the Giants off of Josh Allen, giving him space to throw 2 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs had 100 yards on the game, and James Cook ended the game with 71 yards on the ground. This was a case of the Bills just being a better formed and coached team, while the Giants are spiraling down the toilet with New York in its grip. Number 5. Going down 2 spots are the Kansas City Chiefs, because let's face it, they won barely over the Broncos. There's got to be an honest discussion on how good this Chiefs team actually is. I'll start with this. Mahomes is a great quarterback. In this game, he went 30 of 40 with 306 yards. Kelsey, unfortunately, had 124 yards receiving. Pacheco had 62 yards on the ground, but neither Pacheco or Kelsey turned in a touchdown. The only light in the Chiefs' tunnel is Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones, who had another sack on the game. Sorry, not sorry. I'm still not sold on the Chiefs. Moving up a spot are the Detroit Lions. Their 20-6 win over the Buccaneers, who have had a pretty decent season and wore those creamsicle orange uniforms, which I dig. Detroit held the clock for almost 2/3 of the game. They also held Tampa Bay to only 250 yards. Meanwhile, Jared Goff went off with 353 yards in the air and 2 touchdowns with a 107 rating. Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you didn't believe it on the first episode I had, then you can believe it now. St. Brown had 124 yards receiving. Williams and Reynolds both had over 50 yards as well receiving. Look, I'm not crowning Detroit just yet, but they're playing their best football that I've seen in my lifetime and in a long time. This might just be the year the Lions head deep into the playoffs. Falling a spot are the Philadelphia Eagles. They're lost to the Jets. I might have to put the Jets on this list next week if they can pull off another win. The Eagles came into New York undefeated and left in a heartbreaking loss. They held the Jets to 244 yards total, though. Hurts had 280 yards passing and 47 rushing, but threw 3 interceptions to a great Jets secondary. 4 players with 40 yards receiving, including A.J. Brown with 131 yards. The Titans. And he averaged 18.7 yards per catch. Hassan Reddick also grabbed 2.5 sacks on Zach Wilson. Once again, it was a meeting of 2 teams with something to prove. As it turns out, the Jets just wanted it more. Falling a spot are the San Francisco 49ers. Their loss against the Browns. In this loss, the 49ers proved that they're mortal. McCaffrey, who made me look like a fool this week, only grabbed 43 yards on the ground. Purdy's 125 yards in the air and pass rating of 55.3. Although Nick Bosa ended up with a sack and Ayuk had 76 yards receiving, we all know the Niners are better than what they showed on Sunday. Call it a trap game if you want. Call it a fluke. They still moved down a spot. And on the throne this week, the Miami Dolphins. Their victory 42-21 over the Panthers, taking the rightful spot on the throne are the Dolphins. Tagovailoa went off with 262 yards throwing and 3 touchdowns. With a rating of 126, Raheem Mostert had 115 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns, and Tyreek Hill pulled in another fantastic performance with 163 yards receiving and a touchdown. And he averaged over 27 yards per catch. The defense played well, but this team is all about the flash of the offense. And the fact that they pulled in 424 total yards and dominated the Panthers' defense. At this point in the season, teams should really fear playing these Dolphins. Let's look at some golden games. I'll start her off. I've got some glitter behind me. All right, we're looking at the Jaguars versus the Saints. And that is, I think that's the Thursday night game, 7:15 on Prime Video. Y'all, I'm going to pick the Jaguars in this. I think it's going to be a close competition. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored except for on the Jaguars side. I think they're going to score over 27. I think they're going to hold the Saints to under, let's say, 17. What do y'all think?
I like Jacksonville in this game just really because of the quarterback matchup. Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville is going to win this game, but I do like the Saints defense. And I do like Alontae Taylor, defensive back for the Saints. We've got his autographed helmet right here. He's having a great NFL season. Love the Saints defense, just not enough offensive production. I don't think to hang with the Jaguars. I got the Jaguars to win.
Saints at home.
All right. Hey, got that. Moving on to the next game. We got the Lions at the Ravens, and that is Sunday at noon on Fox, so you can actually watch it. Got a couple good teams. I still pick the Lions to pull this one out. I think Jared Goff is playing literally the best football of his career, and I picked the Giants to win in a close one. I don't think very many points are going to be scored. I'm going to say 17-14. Lions pull it out. You don't think?
Ravens win. The bubble burst for the Detroit Lions.
They're not going 16-1.
All right. So going on to the last game. The Dolphins at the Eagles. This might be one of the best games of the year. Y'all, we got some, in my rankings at least, top 3 teams going at it. And that's 7:20 on NBC. I hate to do it to my Eagles. I think the Dolphins are just playing too well. Their offense is clicking on every aspect. I think they're going to win in a tight one. I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game. I think we're going to see over 30 points scored by each team. However, I think I'm going to pick Dolphins by 7.
This game's going to have a lot of fireworks in it. I love the matchup, 2 former Alabama quarterbacks. And also the Eagles picked up Julio Jones this week, if I'm not mistaken. So lots of firepower at receiver for both these teams. Both teams can run the ball. Both teams have capable defenses. There's a reason why Tua beat out Jalen Hurts to start quarterback at Alabama. I got to go with the quarterback edge. Give me the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. Dolphins on the road. Win.
Things in the NFL are never the same week to week. I look for Philadelphia to bounce back big time this week. It's going to be a great Sunday night game. We get Carrie Underwood and this game. How good is that?
No Taylor Swift.
You totally threw me off. Anyway, I like the Eagles at home.
Okay.
Ken, let's head to you.
All right, golden games for college football this week. We got some doozies here. We got number 7 Penn State in the horseshoe at Ohio State. Number 3 Penn State with a chance to move way up here with this win. My sister Karen and her husband Randy at the Penn State homecoming sent me some pictures. They wipe out UMass 63-0 last week. I'm really rooting for Penn State to win this game because I want my sister's team to win. Sorry, sis. Marvin Harrison Jr. is too much. Ohio State's at home. They're going to pull out a close one. Buckeyes.
James Franklin doesn't win these games, does he?
No.
I'll
No,
take the
not no.
Buckeyes.
Okay.
All right, head to the next
All right, this one, Duke at Florida State, ACC matchup. Florida State, my number one AP team in the nation. They're at home. I got the Seminoles over the Blue Devils, Scott.
I got the Seminoles as well. I think this one maybe starts out, upset alert and all that sort of thing. Florida State ends up winning by 3 touchdowns.
And now we have the Super Bowl. Tennessee, we're ready. Tennessee at Alabama. And let me tell you why this is the Super Bowl. Because it's a must-win game for both teams. Okay, it's a must-win game for both teams. For Tennessee, you've already lost to Florida. If you lose to Alabama and have 2 losses, even if you beat Georgia, you still can't even win the SEC East. You win this game, and the sky's the limit. You could get the playoffs. You would have Georgia at home. You would be in the driver's seat, in my opinion, to win the East and have a shot at the college football playoffs if you win out. For Alabama, same deal. You don't have a conference loss, but you've already lost to Texas. If you lose to Tennessee, even if you beat LSU in 2 weeks, you're not going to get in the playoffs, even if you win the West and beat Georgia in the SEC championship, because you got 2 losses, and a 2-loss team's not going to get in the college football playoffs. This game is everything for both teams. These teams, neither one are the team they had last year, okay? For Tennessee, coming into this game last year, they had 55 plays over 15 yards. Splash plays. This year, only 13. So they've lost some offensive firepower, but they can beat you in different ways. For Alabama, Jalen Milroe likes to push the ball downfield. He's thrown 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on passes that have flown 20 yards in the air. That's a big stat. Alabama's offensive line's got to protect him so he can get off the long passes. But to me, the big statistics in this game are 2 of them. The intangibles, in my opinion, favor the Alabama Crimson Tide. This game is a toss-up football game, but this is what flips it for me. Tennessee, a much different team, as are the other SEC teams, on the road. They're 4-5 under Josh Heupel on the road. Nick Saban, unbelievable in revenge game. This is a revenge game for Alabama. Alabama's going to win it close. Will Riker, 2 kids kicking. Will Riker is the winner this year. Alabama 23, Tennessee 20. That's my pick.
Careful with my counter here, partner. Yeah, I'll go with Bama. Now, the point spread earlier in the week was 9.5. Now it's dropped to 8.5. That means the money's going on Tennessee because people think that this is going to be a low-scoring game based on what these teams have done in the last couple of weeks. They're not high-explosive offenses. So I'll go along with that, but I'm with Ken. Seems too high of a spread, right? Why is Alabama 8.5-point favorite? I'm taking the Tide, and I'm giving that 8.5.
Before we move on to your games, I have some news from YouTube. Darren says on the chat that he's picking the Tide to win 31-20.
31-20. D, we appreciate your prediction there.
All right, moving on. Let's go to first. There we go.
Oakland at Ravenwood, big 6A battle between 2 teams who could rematch for the state championship. This game is at Ravenwood Friday night in Brentwood. Boy, Oakland's really tough. You know, they're a great team. They're the defending state champions. I'll take Oakland on the road.
I'm going to go with the Raptors at home. Give me the Raptors over the Patriots.
Next game.
Franklin County at Lawrence County. Again, this is a battle for 4th place and a playoff berth for one of these teams in Region 5, 5A. Lawrence County was just unimpressive. Franklin County, of course, impressed Tullahoma fans because they beat Tullahoma, but they haven't won a game since then. So if they're going to win a game this year, this is the one to win. I'll take Franklin County.
I agree with you. It's amazing to me that Franklin County's only won 1 game. I'll be honest about it. I think they pick up their 2nd win Friday night.
Tullahoma at Spring Hill. This is the game we will be at on the Light Tube Sports Network. You can watch it on Channel 23 if you have Light Tube in Tullahoma. You can listen to the audio on YouTube, Light Tube. Just go to YouTube and search for Light 2. Spring Hill's won a couple of games this year. They're not that clearly worst team in the area like they have been for the past couple of years. They've learned how to win. I went through all this earlier about the trap game. I like Tullahoma to take care of business Friday night in Spring Hill.
I agree with you, Scott. Tullahoma stays hot, they get the win.
2 minutes, Dave. Yep. You got
2-minute warning.
All right, y'all. So throughout my years of being a fan of sports, I've hitched my proverbial wagon to a lot of bad teams for various reasons. I'm a fan of the Boston Celtics, who, yes, has tasted the thrills of championship teams, but I'm also a fan of the Titans, the Tampa Bay Rays, and Marshall University. Seems like before heading into every season, there's a slight glimmer of hope and optimism for the upcoming year's team, and then usually around mid-season, the hope dissolves and fizzles like placing antacid into a glass of water. Fitting, because watching these teams usually upsets my stomach. Question I've been thinking on is this: why do we care? Why do we place a measure of emotion into sports teams that we root for? I think I finally found part of the answer. It goes back all the way to the beginning of sports as entertainment. Much like placing bets on which gladiator will be victorious, which horse is the fastest, which knight wields his lance the best. We too want to believe in the product of what we will never be. We look up to athletes because in their shoes we become babies learning to crawl. So they become heroes, warriors, gladiators. We choose our teams based on locations, memories, specific players, any number of reasons, and this is what makes sports powerful. They have the power to move us, to let us down, to lift us up. Ultimately, and for this reason, I say, be loud and be proud about your team. Don't let someone dissuade your emotions because they think it's childish to act that way over sports. They're doing so because they themselves can't muster up enough care to benefit from finding a team and digging in. Life is short. We know this. In recent years, we've lost a lot of good people. So life is short, and love the teams you love. Love them loudly. And that's my 2 minutes. Kent?
Great job, Dave. Shout out to my youngest grandson, Kaysen Lawrence, turned 1 today, so happy birthday, Kaysen. There are cowboys, and then there are real cowboys. So I want to pay tribute tonight in my 2-minute warning to one of the first Cowboys I ever remember at running back, probably the very first one, number 32, Walt Garrison, a great running back in the early 70s that I watched for the Dallas Cowboys. I remember Walt Garrison, Calvin Hill, then it was TD, number 33, Tony Dorsett, and then the great Emmitt Smith, 22, that I watched forever and ever. Cowboys really have not had anybody since then. But check out this interesting fact. We're going to show a video the rest of my time here that really shows how times have changed. This is 1966. And look and see what Walt Garrison asked for on his signing bonus for the Dallas Cowboys. He played football for the paycheck, but for the love, he rode rodeo. So check him out right here in this video.
But Walt is firmly cemented in the gallery of cowboy folklore for another reason. Subject of a famous fable no one knew for sure was true. That in 1966, an NFL draft pick, in lieu of money, asked for and got a horse trailer as his rookie signing bonus.
I needed it a lot worse than I needed a new car.
It stands as one of the most legendary contract requests in the history of the NFL.
One of the dumbest things going, huh? No, but that's what I wanted, you know. I mean, I never had a new horse trailer. I always had an old horse trailer that somebody had sold at auction or something, you know. And so when I got that, I mean, God, I thought I was the richest guy in the world.
And this wasn't just any horse trailer. It was an inline horse trailer, so high-end that 50 years later, as he showed it to us in 2016, it's not just a memory.
This is a trailer they gave me for signing with the Cowboys. It's a little dusty.
He pulled that horse trailer for what seemed like 100,000 miles, from rodeo to rodeo, town to town. It's worn and weathered, but
means a lot because of who gave it to me and what it meant. And it was the first new trailer I ever had, so it's good.
Rest in peace, Walt Garrison.
All right. Yeah.
You know, main thing I remember about Walt Garrison was not him running for the Cowboys. I do remember that. But Walt was the first one with Skull, brother.
Yeah.
Skull. And then Earl Campbell came along and did Skull commercials. So that was tobacco, and they were playing. But anyway, my 2 minutes tonight, I could get into deep world events and talk about how, you know, thousands of people around the world are protesting in support of bloodthirsty killers. I could talk about that stuff, but this is a sports show. You come here to be relieved of that sort of thing. You come here for entertainment about sports. We want to think about the world for an hour and 10 minutes. So I will remind you that the Tullahoma Lady Cats soccer team will play Franklin County tomorrow night for the district championship at Franklin County High School. Not sure, 6, 7 o'clock, I'm not sure. Go online, check that out. Tullahoma Lady Cats playing for the district championship in soccer. And then at Motlow State Community College this weekend is what we call Family and Friends Weekend. All 5 Motlow teams are going to perform for whoever wants to come out and watch. On Saturday, the softball team's going to get started with an intra-squad scrimmage, and then the soccer team will play its final regular season game of the year at home, 3 o'clock, against Polk State from Florida. And then on Saturday, the baseball team will have an intra-squad scrimmage at 2:30 p.m. And then at 5 p.m. on Saturday, both basketball teams will have intra-squad scrimmages, dunk contests, three-point shooting, all that stuff. Motlow, family and friends this weekend. It's going to do it for this edition of Gold Ball Sports. For Dave Myers and Ken Keller, I'm Scott Chastain. Subscribe and be good to each other.
Having fun together makes a party.